Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take a quick look here at Bitcoin, see what's going on. Nice pullback here. Geez, this a lot stronger than I expected overnight, but once more, kind of anticipated, right? We're not surprised by this pullback because Bitcoin makes sense to come back down to that $100,000 to $97,000 range. So just know that there is potential for further continuation lower with that. The fair value gaps below and a lot of confluence in that range. We're also tentatively below the 50 and the 20-day SMA on the 4-hour time frame. That's typically a kind of a transitionary situation. They're kind of letting us know that we've shifted gears, we're moving down now, and it may be best to anticipate continuation lower, right? It's never a guarantee, but that's just kind of how that goes. Once more, we're really just looking at statistical probabilities here, folks, and seeing what works, what odds are we have of X, Y, and Z at this point. So taking a look here, first things first with back-end liquidation data. Seems pretty obvious that with us being closer to this lower liquidation between 99 and 100,000 and what? 100.5, the 100.5 range, there's a lot of liquidation to the downside. Okay, so with that kind of being there, we want to be present and understand that with us being closer to that, the probability of further downside is higher. However, we are in a falling type of pattern here, essentially, and generally those are bullish based on how we originated. Well, I'll show you on the charts here as well. It's kind of like a descending, broadening wedge pattern with parallel highs. It's generally a good sign for a breakout to the upside. So once more, we'll take a look here. We'll see soon what's going on, but if we do break down lower, there's a good chance that $100,000 mark will be hit, and that that local liquidation is potential reality for us. This is another thing you don't want to try to take along into, even though lately market makers have been pretty good about tricking us. We can see 12 billion in liquidation short delta. So we've got 12 billion more shorts than longs in the market right now, kind of emphasizing the fact that we're going to continue lower. Once more, we are double bottoming. This is kind of a W pattern as well, and those do oftentimes break to the upside. So we've got a lot of conflicting information, and more often than not, it's best to avoid trading when you have things telling you it's going to go in both directions, right? It's like, I can't make a decision right now. I have too many choices. Well, that's kind of the problem right now, is there's too many things telling us it's going to go up and down. But let's double check here. Let's see what the daily time frame tells us. Once more, we got our fair value gap down as low as about 97,000. That is kind of that macro fair value gap that's partially filled. When we take a look here, though, at some indicators, these things are kind of starting to shift momentum. Now, these aren't like truly bearish, but these are definitely not bullish, okay? When the RSI continues lower, granted, it's relative to the price action, so that's good. But when we look at the money flow index is below the price action, implying we have more money flowing away from this coin than going into it. That's generally not a good sign. We've also got our SMAs above the price action, stochastic swinging down. We're soon to diverge on the MACD, or potentially diverging on the MACD. So these are all signs of further downside potential realities. In other words, we're like, it's like a 60% probability we're going to go down further based on the macro. We look at the 4-hour time frame. We want to recognize this WHC stands for weekly high close. We've never closed above 104,500. So 104.5 is that a resistance level for us. It's not a cool radio station. And at this point, what we can recognize is we are underneath this moving average here effectively, and also under 50 in the RSI. So that's just kind of reaffirming bearish type of divergence. Until we shift momentum, get over our moving average and or 50 on the RSI, we can presume we're going to still be in the doghouse for a little bit longer. So there's a good chance that if we come back up to 103K, that's going to be a solid consideration for a short and or an area of rejection. Now let's look at our point of control here and just double check. We can see 104K is that local point of control combined with 103K. So we got 103 and 104,000. These are two areas here that we can kind of see is somewhat of a resistance for us. So being below that is not really great. So even though we have some nice candlestick patterns here, we're in a position right now where the price action should continue lower, right? So once more, don't take trades solely based on patterns. These are nice breakout patterns potentially, but we have more propensity to go down lower at this point than we do higher based on resistances above us. Okay, so that's kind of the concept there. And I'm willing to speculate we're now underneath the Ichimoku cloud, which we are. So it gives us a better case scenario of a retest of 103K. Should imply further downside. Okay, so a lot of different things happening here. So I'm not trying to scare you that we're just going to go to the ground floor, but as you can see, altcoins were not really behaving very well here recently in light of Bitcoin pulling back by a small margin. I mean, literally, like if you look at the percentage for just say 103 to Like that was a 2% correction, and majority of altcoins just hit this hard 4 to 10% correction. So just know we're not in a great place right now with altcoins. That while they are bottoming out, so to speak, it's not a great sign. Last but not least here, this is once more just kind of an observation. We can see we got a W pattern here. A lot of times the price will continue higher here. So what we're looking for is an invalidation of this area. So if the price comes up here, kind of stalls out, that's when you want to consider a short because it's more likely to come back down. If we break through this level here, there's a good chance that we'll consider retesting this local high of 104.5, 105K, and just continue much further up. So those are the possible scenarios here. It's always if and situation. So at this point, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the price continuing lower, but there's no doubt about it. We're in a range of 101.5 to 105K, and until that breaks, we really got to just presume it's going to continue. That's kind of the concept there. All right, folks, that's all we got. Thanks again so much for watching. Future reference too, if you made it this far, I'm going to be traveling this weekend, so I'll mostly be focusing on shorts. I'm not sure if I'll have these longer detailed analysis, but my shorts are still pretty solid in that regard, kind of driving home a lot of the important things for you there. So check it out. It's all available on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, of course, YouTube and TikTok as well. But I hope that you learned something today and you had a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.